WTA title. Just your thoughts on your win.
Oh my gosh, I'm over the moon. I'm super happy.
The atmosphere inside center court at the National Bank Open in Toronto felt electric. Philippine flags were everywhere, the crowd was roaring Alex Eala's name, and for a moment it looked like another unforgettable chapter in her breakout run was about to unfold. But almost immediately, something felt off. Alex wasn't moving with the same quickness that had made her so dangerous throughout the week. Her footwork looked a half-step slower. Shots that had been clipping the lines in previous matches were suddenly drifting wide or landing short. And by the time the final point was played, the scoreboard delivered a brutal reality. Belinda Bencic had defeated Alex Eala 6-4, 6-0. Used like that, the dream run was over, the winning streak had been snapped, and questions began pouring in. What happened to the player who had looked nearly unstoppable only days earlier? After the match, Alex finally addressed what had been going on behind the scenes, and her explanation made the loss even more painful. The ankle injury she suffered against Caty McNally had never completely settled down. She had continued playing through the discomfort, fighting through fatigue and trying to recover between matches, but against a player as experienced as Bencic, the physical limitations finally became impossible to hide. Alice's run to the round of 16 pulgadas Toronto had already been one of the most exciting stories on the women's tour. She arrived at the National Bank Open fresh from a historic title at the Washington Open, where she had defeated world numero 3 Jessica Pegula in the final. That victory had pushed her winning streak to 7 matches and helped lift her to a career-high ranking of numero 20 in the world. Her confidence was soaring. During the season, she had already beaten 3 Grand Slam champions and taken down an Olympic gold medalist. Everything seemed to be clicking at exactly the right time. Then there was the crowd. The Filipino community in Toronto had transformed the tournament into something that felt like a home event for Alex. Philippine flags filled the stands, and chants of Alex echoed throughout the stadium. Tournament director Carl Hale said Eala's presence had helped generate more than 5,000 ticket sales, and the demand became so strong that her match had to be moved onto center court. That kind of support was impossible to ignore. Alex noticed it too. After her match against Caty McNally, she talked about hearing someone in the crowd say they wanted to be Filipino for the night. That comment stayed with her. She understood that she wasn't simply playing for herself. She was carrying the support of an entire community that had adopted every point, every rally, and every victory as its own. The win over McNally was supposed to keep that momentum rolling. Instead, it became the turning point of the tournament. During the second set of that match, Alex rolled her right ankle after landing awkwardly following a forehand. The moment immediately caused concern. She called for a medical timeout, and the ankle was heavily taped before she returned to the court. But Alex refused to stop. She kept competing, eventually removed the tape, and battled her way through the third set to win it 6-4. At the time, it looked like another example of her toughness. She had survived the scare and moved on. But the bigger question was what that effort had taken out of her. After the match, Alex tried to calm fears about the injury. She said there was nothing seriously wrong with the ankle and described the incident as frightening rather than disastrous. She also acknowledged just how demanding the match had been physically. Today was physical. It pushed me a lot, she said. She also pointed out that she already had a large number of matches in her legs, while expressing confidence that her team would help her recover. She said she had high hopes for the rest of the tournament. But beneath that optimism was a much more complicated physical situation. Alex had played on 5 of 6 days. The Washington final had been delayed by rain and stretched from Sunday into Monday. Soon after that, she traveled to Toronto. She faced Alicia Parks in singles on Wednesday, played doubles alongside Venus Williams on Thursday, and then went through the physically demanding McNally match on Friday. That is an enormous workload for any player. Alex herself admitted just how tired she was after beating McNally, saying she was about as exhausted as someone could be at that stage. Add the ankle problem to an already overloaded schedule, and suddenly the challenge became much bigger than simply preparing for another opponent. Going into the Bencic match, Alex remained positive. She said she was ready, excited for another opportunity, and determined to recover as much as possible before starting again from zero. But the ankle had not fully recovered. Even though the tape was no longer visible, the discomfort remained. Alex and her team had spent the limited recovery window working on treatment, but there simply wasn't enough time for the body to fully reset. Her movement had been affected, and facing Belinda Bencic while physically compromised was always going to be a massive challenge. Bencic brought a resume that demanded respect. The Swiss star is a Tokyo Olympic gold medalist and a former world número 4. She had already experienced success at this very tournament, winning the National Bank Open in 2015 when she was just 18 years old. During that run, she defeated 4 top 10 opponents, including Serena Williams. She also entered the match with a strong record against left-handed players, having not lost to a lefty since 2024. So even at full strength, Alex was facing one of the toughest tests available. The opening set showed that she was still willing to fight. Both players held serve early, and the rallies became long, physical exchanges. Alex was trying to settle into the match, but her movement did not look as free as it had during her previous victories. Bencic recognized that and began making her cover more court. The Swiss player built a 4-2 lead, and for a moment it looked as though she might pull away quickly. Alex refused to let that happen. She battled back and leveled the set at 4-4. The crowd exploded. For those few minutes, the dream felt alive again. The chants got louder, the Philippine flag started waving even harder, and Alex appeared to have found a way back into the contest. Then Bencic raised her level. She broke Alice's serve in the 9th game to move ahead 5-4 and then calmly held serve to close out the opening set, 6-4. The second set was where Alice's physical condition became much more obvious. She looked drained. Her movement became increasingly limited, and the shots that normally carried so much aggression and precision no longer had the same effect. Bencic kept applying pressure, mixing up her shots and constantly forcing Alex to react. The errors started piling up. Holding serve became increasingly difficult. Bencic never let her breathe. In a little more than 30 minutos, the second set was gone, 6-0. The final score, 6-4, 6-0, looked harsh. It ended Alice's Toronto run and snapped the winning streak that had carried her from Washington into Canada. Afterward, Alex finally spoke about what she had been dealing with. The upbeat smile fans had seen throughout the week was replaced by disappointment and exhaustion. Naturally, the biggest question was simple: what went wrong? Alex acknowledged that the foot and ankle issue from the McNally match had played a role. The discomfort had never completely disappeared. She had been receiving treatment between matches, but the limited recovery time meant she was still dealing with the problem when she stepped onto the court against Bencic. That affected her movement and made it much harder to find the rhythm that had fueled her previous victories. Alex also made sure to give Bencic credit. She understood that the Swiss player had performed at a high level. But it was equally clear that Alex had not been physically able to play the same brand of tennis that had carried her through the previous week. She had fought through the pain rather than withdrawing. She had tried to push herself through one more match. Eventually, however, the combination of the ankle problem and 7 matches in roughly a week became too much. That context changes the way the defeat looks. Yes, the scoreboard says 6-4, 6-0. Yes, the streak ended. Yes, the opportunity to go deeper in Toronto disappeared. But this was not simply a case of Alex suddenly forgetting how to play great tennis. Her body had been pushed hard. The Washington title run, the travel, the singles matches, the doubles match alongside Venus Williams, the 3-set battle against McNally, and then the ankle injury all accumulated at once. Sometimes professional tennis can be that unforgiving. One awkward landing can change the direction of an entire tournament. And that is exactly why this loss should not erase what Alex accomplished. She arrived in Toronto as one of the hottest players on the tour. She came in carrying a breakthrough WTA Tour title and a 7-match winning streak. She packed stadiums. She brought thousands of Filipino supporters into the stands and turned a Canadian tournament into an emotional celebration of Philippine tennis. She had already proven she could compete against elite players. Her rise had even attracted praise from major tennis figures, including Martina Navratilova and Andrea Agassi. They lost to Bencic hurt because the run had been so special. But injuries are also part of the reality of elite sports. The margin between feeling great and struggling physically can disappear in a single point. Eala's decision to keep going says a lot about her mentality. She did not walk away when the ankle started bothering her. She kept fighting. That determination helped her finish the McNally match, but it also came with consequences once the next challenge arrived. Now the smartest move is recovery. Alex is only 21 years old. Her story is nowhere close to finished. She has already reached numero 20 in the world, defeated multiple Grand Slam champions and Olympic gold medalists, and established herself as one of the most exciting young players to watch. She also has something that cannot be measured by a ranking number, an enormous community standing behind her. Next comes another part of the season. Cincinnati awaits, and after that comes the US Open. There will be new matches, new opponents, and new chances to build on everything she has learned during this stretch. For now, the Toronto loss is going to sting. But setbacks like this happen to every serious competitor. What matters is how a player responds. Alex showed during this run that she is willing to fight even when things are uncomfortable. She played through pain. She handled a brutal schedule. She competed in front of thousands of people carrying enormous expectations. And even when the result finally went against her, she faced what happened instead of hiding from it. That is why this chapter should be remembered as more than a defeat. It is a reminder of how quickly momentum can change in professional tennis, how demanding the tour can be on the body, and how much resilience it takes to keep showing up. Eala's Toronto run may be over, but her larger journey is only beginning. She has already shown the tennis world that she belongs on these stages. Now the priority is getting healthy, learning from the experience, and coming back ready for whatever comes next. The Philippine flags will wave again. The chants will return. And if this stretch has taught us anything, it is that Eala will keep fighting. For more coverage of Eala and the biggest stories in professional tennis, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay with us as the next chapter unfolds.